All right. Hey, Michael. How goes it? Excellent. Now, can you guys hear my AC? I'll be quiet for a sec so you can to see if it's loud or not. It's on the lowest setting, so test 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How is that? I just don't know how sensitive my microphone is. You can't? Fantastic. All right. So I can leave it. Excellent. Now I'm going to bump it up one setting and see if you guys can hear it or not. Can you hear it now? Hopefully no. It's all good? How's that? Can you hear it now? No? And there's a little bit of lag in the chat. Sounds good? Awesome. Good to know. All right. So, need to take care of the sound situation. Sound. There we go. It's just white noise in the background. All right, but if I turned it down one, you couldn't hear it at all. So that way you can hear it much lesser, right? How's that? And thank you guys for being here. I'm just doing a quick little pre-show type double check on audio video. And right, good? All right. Turn down the... You have no messages. Okay. Ringers. Okay. Ringer volume. All right. All right. On the lowest setting, can barely hear it. Fantastic. Yeah, that's the lowest setting. There's one more that's like, it says it has a little moon next to it. I don't know what that does. Let's see. Well, I think that's a setting. I think that's just a timer setting. So, all right. I think today's topic is going to be interesting for you guys. And I know certain people on Team Insight will definitely, or Team Moonsight, or Insight with Moonshadow. We're still working with the title. On the team, we'll be very, very excited and happy with this topic. So yeah. So everyone here, nice to see you all. Feel free to say hello. Yes. So feel free to say hello. if you are in the chat, if you'd like to be noticed. You can't wait to hear what it is. See, even Ariel doesn't know what it is. But yes, I think it's going to be very approved in the Ariel department for sure. Definitely. Yeah, the huge highly paid production team, right? Oh, I would love to have more of a production team. Actually, a place, shared on your Facebook page and fantastic. Thank you so much. Yes, and it's already been shared on Twitter because as soon as I go on live, it goes on my Twitter feed. But yeah, billions. Maybe in kindness or in gratitude, but I don't know about billions. Billions of what? That's the question. But yes. Well, of course we're always looking at improving and evolving and making things better. Looking at more, of course, improving in higher production value. Billions of hugs, absolutely. And thank you, Michael, for sharing it onto your social media. That's fantastic. And I appreciate that very much so. And I have to say, you are, for the people that help to share and to post and to do all that, it's you are all honorary people on, of course, team, inside of Moonshadow. So it is very appreciated, and I'm very grateful to all the shares, the likes, the posts, the reposts, the hearts, the thumbs ups, all of it. It's very, very appreciative. I'm very appreciated to all of every bit of kindness. So, and there are people that have even donated to the production value, and I have to say that as well, because with all the support that I've received, it's all been really, 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 really great, all the way back from way in the beginning, from the usual suspects. We're still here. It is the 78th episode of Inside Moonshadow. Without, there have been glitches, there have been issues, there have been problems. There's even a mysterious missing show 11. Yeah. That's about the only thing that and it's still kind of annoying, actually, that I don't have a show 11. And I do have a show 11. I just have nothing. I can't prove. There's no evidence of a show 11 other than way back when they dismissed that old platform, Blab, where our humble beginnings began. So yeah, so they couldn't give me a show 11. They couldn't give me an upload. They couldn't give me any kind of anything because the technology that day just took a digger, went down the hole. So yeah. So unfortunately, yes. Rest in peace, show 11. Yeah. But we will be starting the show formally very shortly. Also, too, there are going to be some changes coming up. We're in the process of working them now. Yeah. Some new developments in the show as well. Everything from coming up. It's going to be a new channel trailer. a new, more high production channel trailer, as well as little tweaks and improvements along the way. So stay tuned for Inside with Moonshadow, because we are constantly trying to make things better, make things more improved, make things with higher tech value as well. It's still got to be me. There's still got to be that kind of aspect of organic, earthy, crunchy, shamanistic, stuffity stuff. It's just got to look better. So we'll see if it's more efficient, more, working with it better. And I have to thank all my YouTube subbies, as well as everyone in the Twitterverse, the Facebook universe. Yes, you know what? That has been a thought many episodes ago of potentially and actually a custom theme song. Yes. And as my trusty producer says, it's still going to be Mooney, just higher quality Mooney. Me. Yes. So hoping more like 1080p or more like higher production value. Maybe there's a background you see will no longer be this background. It's going to be something different. Hopefully better. So yes. But we are in the process of making tweaks and improvements and all of that. So it's going to be fun. And an adventure, because this is part of why I do this. It's also because not only to share my story and share my knowledge, but also to bring you all along on the adventure that is, from my view of the world, from my perception of the world, my experience of the world, and to share that with you, and to share all your stories as well. So this is why we do the show. It's not just for me to sit here every week and talk to you guys. Hey, it's Herbie. Welcome. Long time no see. How goes it? One of the old schoolers from way back in our humble beginnings. Yes. One of our infamous drivers. It's, I want to say Uber, but it may not be Uber. But he's definitely, so far so good. That's good. So I'm glad you're here. Fantastic. And he was actually, Herbie was one of the original OGs from way back in the beginning of Inside with Moonshadow. Way back when, from like episode 1, 2, 3, 4, somewhere around there. And yeah, he's even in the show somewhere along those lines. He's been in one of the episodes or a couple. Lyft. Yes. So he's doing Lyft driving in New York City, NYC. Wow. You must be loving that. The action must be great. So yes, I knew it was Uber or Lyft, but I wasn't positive. So you're doing Lyft. Very, very cool. Excellent. I give you a lot of credit, man, because I'll tell you, not a big fan of the city. Never mind. So yeah, early on, he had said, Herbie had said to me that it reminded him of his uncle. And I asked him, is that a good thing? And he said yes. So it was fond memories of his uncle. So I am very glad for that. Better than Uber. Yeah. Okay. So you switched over. Oh, okay. Power lifters. Uber drivers, power lifters. Well, for brand wise, that does sound much better via social media. Power lifters. That's like in Starbucks. In Starbucks, the barista sounds so much better than, I sell coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. Like Subway, they're sandwich crafters or sandwich artisans. Doesn't that sound so much better? Sometimes just a little bit of wordplay makes the whole thing a different situation. Because you can have, the garbage man. He's a garbage man. Now, I'm not taking away from garbage men because they provide incredible service. So I have incredible gratitude for, the person that handles and takes away my garbage and my trash, because you know what? They rock, in my opinion. However, what sounds better, quote unquote? A trash guy, garbage man, or sanitation engineer? Major difference. So I encourage any of you to switch it up with wordplay. Whatever you do, change it up. If you're a CNA, you could be, I don't know, a nurse's assistant. Or not, that would probably be legal. That'd probably be some kind of legal problem. But you could be an assistant of the assistant, or a nurse's second assistant. I don't know. Definitely not minion or underling or anything like that, because that doesn't sound so good at that point. Never burn a janitor. See, he holds all the keys. You're absolutely right. And that's a perfect example. A custodian or a janitor, they are basically the heartbeat of any school or institution or any building. Think about it. See, sanitation engineer. And that sounds so much better. So if I was a trash guy, I'd be like, I am a sanitation engineer. So it's very, very important. And also, too, don't ever, somebody along the lines of like a UPS driver or anything like that. Well, first of all, I'm not one for looking down on anyone's job, because everyone provides us a particular service, and all of us have a particular need or service to provide to make the world a better place. So don't look down at the person that's doing your landscaping. You don't want to do it. Don't think lesser of them, because guaranteed they know it better than you, and they can do a better job. Right? A little moonsight for you. Something to think about. So yes, so I've teased enough about what the topic is not. So we're gonna get onto that part, and I'll tease it a little bit, or maybe I'll start the show first and then I'll say it. Okay, if you have the ability to give them a water bottle or hot coffee on a cold day, the cars don't have air conditioning. Yeah, right. Yeah. You're very right. Very true. Very true. So yeah, so we're going to start promptly. Let's just say 4:30 for S&G, which is the PC version of, or the PG version of Shits and Giggles. S&G, Shits and Giggles. So yes. But yeah, so I'm so glad that you guys are here. I appreciate all of you for coming in. And of course, a lot of people come in after the fact in the replay. And I want to thank all the people that check out the replay and come back. Now, I know the prettier versions of the show has not been uploaded yet. They will be. And of course, I have to blame it on the head cheese guy that hasn't fully finished his production version over in Reno, the Reno Insight with Moonshadow Journeys. And I need to get on his case. This is when you have to look in the mirror and go, you know what? You got to get on it, because your production team has been on your shit saying, hey. So nothing to do with the team. It really starts, when they say it rolls down from the top. Well, it starts from the top, and I need to finish what I need to finish so we can get that up. But soon, very soon, hopefully soon, it's going to be, you'll get all of a sudden you'll get blasted probably with a shit ton of the edited, prettier versions of the show at the beginning and ending and all that good stuff, the music and everything coming up soon. Because we have been editing as we go along. They just haven't been fully uploaded into YouTube just because of my chronological, I just want everything to be chronologically set properly and situated and sorted in such a way. That's the part of being an artist type person. So yes, all right. So we got 2 more minutes. I'm going to start the show. And unbeknownst to anyone except myself, only I know the topic. Yeah. But I think it's going to be a good topic. And I think it's going to be good for beginner, intermediate, as well as advanced, no matter where you are. Yeah. Hey. Yes, the producers are particular, but in certain things I may be more particular than my producers. Yes, I will agree. Hey, all right, I resemble that comment. Okay. Sorry, not sorry. It's one of those things. So yeah. Yes, of course. And that's lovely. That's lovely and delicious, and thank you so much. Thank you for the love. Seriously. Not. Only kidding. All right. So probably at 4:30. As soon, and you know what? Bing! It's 4:30. So we're going to get this puppy started. Okay. Welcome to Inside with Moonshadow. I am Moonshadow, an integrative holistic therapist, intuitive shaman, interfaith minister, and CHI-vangelist with over 30 years of experience in the healing field internationally. Now, my intention here is to guide and empower you so you can empower others in your community as well as the world. So if I guide you, and we all guide each other to being better people, then wouldn't the world be a better place? That's my intent. From deep down inside my heart, this is why I do what I do. And now today is episode 78. Episode 78, people. So we've been doing this, working it, moving along, and sharing story, as well as advice, connection, and having conversation for 78 episodes. And I would like to thank all of you from the people that show up on the live show, all the replayers, all the people that show up for the replays. I see a lot of it, and I see everyone checking out. I see the views. I'm watching how it works out. There are a lot of people looking at the views, and there are multiple views. Thank you so much for looking, checking out, seeing what's going on, reaching out to me. I really, really appreciate all of it. Any topic ideas, anything you want to learn that's within my scope of my universe of what it is, or if there's a topic of conversation you want to bring up, if it's something that I could utilize and bring in to the conversation, I would gladly, share it for sure. So if there's anything that you'd like to know, anything within the shamanic realm, anything that you want to know within life itself, how to be more socially active or become a social activist, anything to do with charity, being a better human being, spirit of Ubuntu, whatever, suggestion you have to make the world a better place, just reach out and let me know. You can check me, you can tell me here, you can check me in my social media, and you can also check it out on phoenixrising.com or phoenixrisinghealingarts.com. So I've waited long enough. I've teased long enough. Today's episode is all going, it's and it could be from a beginner to advanced. You might learn something new if you're more of an advanced student in the world, and even beginners are going to get something out of it. So either way, this is a pretty, I think it'll be a pretty good topic for all of us. Now, the topic is this. If any of you wondered at all, ever, if you thought of someone and all of a sudden the phone rang and it's the person you thought about, makes you wonder. Makes you wonder, right? Or if you have a funny feeling, it comes through to you, and then you find out something went down, whether it be in the world or you're close in a circle of things or people. Yes, you guessed it. It's all about intuition. It's all about being psychic. It's all about tuning in, and how anybody and everybody can really tune in to your psychic ability. So this will be good for the 101ers, people that have always thought about it and questioned it, but wasn't sure, as well as the people that have been doing it a long time and may think of other techniques or other possibilities. And of course, Ariel is going to be loving this, because this was something that was discussed and spoken about for quite a long time. So yes. So is this Intuition 101? Not really. Not necessarily. Is this Psychic Ability 101? No, not really. Is this how do I become more psychic? Maybe. But this is all about tuning into your true spiritual gifts. And I did say spiritual. Okay? This is actual factual, really a spiritual gift. Now, for all those people, the naysayers that say, well, it's not really a gift from God, it's a gift from Satan. I'm going to say I beg to differ. Reason being, and I'm not downplaying, I'm not criticizing your view on the world or what you think or your upbringing. That's not what I'm here to do, because we're in no judgment and no criticism zone. However, I pose a question to those people. If you have a gift, whatever that gift may be, and that gift provides something positive or healing towards another person, could that or would that be evil? Think about this for a second. And from my perspective and my perception, I do not, and believe me, this is coming from a lot of introspection myself, and also, as you know from my intro, I'm also a minister, also an interfaith minister. So yes, being a shaman and being a minister, being a holy person, being a spiritual being and living a human existence, all of that makes a difference. But all of it is intermingled. So for anyone that decides to judge, I'm sorry. It's unfortunate that anyone decides to take that stance in judging and criticizing something you may not understand or you may not know fully. It's unfortunate. Because honestly, I can say this from a spiritual standpoint. I don't even believe that the Creator or the All-Father or the Great Spirit itself judges. I think man has learned to judge or put that judgment in the mix. Because technically, we really shouldn't judge or criticize others. because we haven't walked in their shoes, in their moccasins, in their flip-flops, in their Ugg boots, in their mucklucks, wherever you are on the planet, right? So, ultimately, it's really, really not about religion. This is about spirituality, but also, too, even if you're an atheist, you can still believe, you can still work with intuitive ability. You're just not going to look at it from the sense of, I'm being told information. Recently, every year I work with high school graduates, and I get to do readings for high school graduates. And I get to guide them along the way. So if they're not sure about something, I help them move to the next step, or at least pose other questions and challenge them to kind of take a look at where they're at, where they're going, and help guide them to a better path that suits them. Okay? Nothing to do with me. It's all about the intuition. It's all about the message coming through me to them. To some people, it would be God, a gift from God. To others, it could be spirit guides, angels. I believe that the spirit realm is vast. So, let's move forward. Now, first to start off, all of us, every single one of us is intuitive or psychic. Whether you know of your spirit guides or not, whether you believe in your spirit guides or not, they're there. If you want to call them angels, I've had people I've worked with that only wanted to believe in angels, and that's okay. It could be a dragon. It could be, because again, this is not just, there's truth in there's an origin to every myth. Every myth, there's an origin to it. There's a fact or a truth to every single myth. So if you look at dragons and you go, dragons don't exist, but dinosaurs did. So how do we know that dragons weren't a form of a dinosaur? And the story was exaggerated or changed, or, there's pterodactyls. That kind of thing. Even the religious sects of Christianity had grotesques on their old Gothic churches to ward off evil. To you, a grotesque is a gargoyle. Many different tribes would wear ugly, hideous masks to also ward off evil. So be careful of what you think or assume. What you think what is, it probably isn't. You could misperceive easily or assume. Now, one thing, and I will say, may my father rest in peace, one thing I had learned from my father way when I was a kid was he had said to me, never assume. You make an ass out of you and me. And I was young when he had said that. And I'm not that young anymore, as you can tell. But this is true. So that put aside, this is really not about any particular religion. It doesn't matter what religion you are. You could be a Buddhist, an Anglican, a Christian, a Catholic. You could be a pagan. You could be whatever you want. You could worship the great spaghetti monster. It doesn't matter to me. This is about your intuition, your instincts, and your ability to tune in. This happens everywhere. We all have this ability. Now, what stops this ability? Michael, right in the nick of time. Yes. What stops his ability? We need to be open-minded about all kinds of things. None of us know everything. Yes. So being open-minded is one major aspect of it. Now, here's an example. We have all heard of, and in previous broadcasts, you've heard me talk about spirit guides, life protectors, and totems, and how they protect us. And how way back when I had mentioned it, but I will do a recap on that little tidbit, that when you're a child and you have an invisible friend, mind you. Now, most of the time, that invisible friend is maybe invisible to the physical eye, but also it's in your periphery. Most of the time, these invisible friends are your guides, are your totems, are your life protectors. Whether they be dragons, hummingbirds, trolls, not the a-hole trolls, not the a-hole trolls. Trolls get a bad name now because a-holes, they should be just called a-holes instead of trolls. And yeah, that sounds kind of judgy, and I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. But if you're not doing anything nice, if you're not being nice, then you're probably more than likely, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. So if you're acting like one, if you're acting like an a-hole, and you're being an a-hole, you say things like an a-hole, you just may be an a-hole. But anyway, moving on. But the thing is, gnomes, and even around my neck, I have a lucky gnome. Fairy folk, fairies, all of that, you have spirit guides, life protectors. So you're never really, really, truly alone. And they are all here to help and guide us. Now, intuition and ability. Consider this. We are all receptors to energy. Okay? We're all receptive to energy. We're all receptive to body language. We are all receptive to, and they even said, if you do any kind of paranormal research, EMF, like high levels of EMF, electromagnetic frequency, can mess with you. Now that's scientific. That's legit. It's truly legit. So just imagine if that's the case, then we are sensitive and being bombarded by energies all the time. This is why they are saying don't use your phone, use your Bluetooth, but don't use your phone against your ear, because the vibration or the radiation that your phone emits can potentially cause issue, right? So we are all really hypersensitive receivers. So that being said, this is where psychic ability comes from. So I'm going to give it to you the potential scientific way, as well as the earthy, crunchy, woo-woo kind of way. You know what I mean? I'll give you both, because they both kind of walk hand in hand in this. So the science of it is we are all souls, that we have a life spark. It's bioelectric energy. Whether you call it a soul or your bioelectric spark, potato. Really. So now that's where it starts. But we are receivers of such information. So where does it come from? Where does it come from where all of a sudden you think about someone and all of a sudden they text you, and when you haven't spoken to them in months? Or, perfect example, this happened today. This happened maybe an hour and a half ago, maybe 2 hours, give or take. I had thought of a friend of mine. I'd gotten a text, and come to find out, one of their dear inner circle people were involved in a conflict that it may end up being in the news, actually, by the way. I still have to find out what the story is, but the people involved were safe. The people that they were concerned about that they didn't hear from are safe. So that's really, really good. So lots of good juju. I'm really, really happy that they were okay. But the thing was this. I thought about that person not even 30 seconds prior to getting a text. Now, I have been involved in the inner workings of connection and intuition and instinct probably ever since I was little, before I even understood it. But this is not something just for me. This isn't just something for Michael or Herbie or Ariel or anybody else that's in this broadcast. All of us have this inherent ability to connect. Now, the main thing here is to be open-minded to allowing this. Now, just recently, I had a session with someone, and this person also on their path of self-discovery. And I'm not going to mention any names because we don't have to mention names. We're going to change the names to protect the innocent. Let's say this person was called Pedro. Yeah, sounds good. So Pedro or Jorge. I like Jorge. So Jorge, working with Jorge is on a spiritual journey. Now, being open-minded is a start. So the fact that Jorge got a calling, or all of a sudden has felt the inklings of said energies, messages, interesting dreams, urgings, weird, mystical, or odd urgings, and they don't necessarily have to be mystical. It could be something obvious. It could be something that you're getting a coffee at Starbucks, and there are two people talking, and all of a sudden you hear one word. You hear one word, specifically one word. That's a message for you. So be open-minded and keep your senses open. Not in a paranoid kind of way, you know what I mean? Not like, oh my God, I'm going to get messages everywhere. Was that a message? Was that a message? Was that a message? No, it's nothing like that. Just be aware. Just kind of, be aware of what's around you, what's happening around you, because you may get a message. Be aware of messages that you may get in your dreams. If you get a really odd dream that you're not quite used to, 9 out of 10 there's a lesson there. Or you had way too much sugar or way too much coffee the night before, which can happen. That can happen too. So it could be just you went a little cray-cray on the fudge brownie sundae the night before, you ate a little too much, and now your subconscious is going like, sugar high, rush in your dreams. That is possible. Again, open to all possibilities. However, probably 8 or 9 out of 10 of those times, it's usually a message from source. Yep, or Michael says, or drank too much. There you go. But honestly, and this is the metaphor I used with Jorge. And Jorge, I like the word Jorge. I like the name Jorge. Jorge is cool. It could be George, but I like Jorge. Jorge is a good word. It sounds nice. But in the sense of your conscious mind, and this is the metaphor I used, as you walk through day to day, you have to be in control of your well-being. You have to be in control of your senses. You can't be meditating with your eyes closed while going down the highway, right? So your conscious mind has to have all all those running amok monkeys in your monkey mind. They need to keep them reined in because you have to work. You have to go to appointments. You have to make phone calls. You have to take phone calls. You have to pay bills. You have to do all those things that require a little more of your attention. So there you go. However, all bets are off when you go to sleep. Even to seasoned people. So once you go to sleep, you do not have full control of your subconscious. Now, using this CD as a visual aid, if you really think about it, your subconscious is only about this much, right here. So all of this is undercover. So you really only have about this much consciousness that's actually happening while you are awake during the day. Once you go to sleep, bam, the party started. Boom, 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 all of that. Yep, consider it a rave. Whatever you got to do, your monkey mind runs amok. Totally different. That's when the party really starts. Now, how to rein in, how to listen, how to decipher, how to sort out, how to figure out what kind of dream it is and all that kind of stuff really matters. And this is where intuition and your ability kicks in. Before it becomes truly conscious in the forefront, you kind of have to work with the background and how it starts, because a lot of times, many people start with it coming from the background, out of your periphery. You see something out of the corner of your eye and you wonder what that was. Or you hear something that wasn't there. And no, that's not necessarily you're going crazy. This could very much mean that this is source or spirit or the universe reminding you that there is another sense that you are not paying attention to. Now, at an early age, I was able to actually smell death. Now, that's pretty crazy for a kid to have to wrap his head around. So I could smell death. I could speak to animals, and I could tell when someone was ill. I got a lot of messages back then. I just couldn't figure out what it all meant. I just knew I was getting bombarded with this energy, with these messages. Good thing I didn't dismiss it all away, because then I would have been, maybe a plumber today. Or maybe an accountant. Highly unlikely. But anyway, I digress. But the point of it is, I actually had to listen. I was forced. I didn't have a choice. Now, some people do force it away. And if this is not part of what your life is about, then yeah, you can force it away to the point where the stigma of being pressured or bullied, then that imaginary friend, as we talked about earlier, that imaginary friend goes from them in the periphery where you can barely see them or talk to them or interact with them, and they kind of drift off to the side. So for right now, I can have someone right here, and I could have someone right here. Presently, I'm not. Just my spirit guides and stuff. But ultimately, they kind of back away from your periphery, and then they start dealing with things differently or giving you messages in a different way, in a different aspect. They're a little more stealthy in how they give you messages. Kind of how like your mom makes you think that it's your idea, but technically it was her idea. She was just pushing the point. Or parents are good at doing that. And spouses sometimes too. They're like, didn't you say that we should go on a vacation to Costa Rica? And then you don't remember that, but then you went, oh, maybe I could have said that. Yeah, all right, let's go. Let's go to Costa Rica. Win-win, right? But these are the starts and the little bits of psychic ability and intuition. It can come in many different forms. You can hear things. You could see things. A lot of times you can even taste things, depending. Sometimes it's a taste or a smell. But all of your senses, one or more of your senses may kick in to let you know that something is different. I remember doing a reading for someone, and they asked me about their grandmother. And immediately when they asked me about their grandmother, I started smelling flowers. Now, first of all, I was indoors. Second of all, there were no flowers in the room. And there was no scent of flowers prior to them asking about this relative. So this was the relative coming in to say, I'm here. Let them know. And by giving me the scent of flowers. So as soon as I said, I'm smelling like flowers, I'm smelling wildflowers, I'm smelling lavender, I'm smelling roses, all of a sudden they were like, oh my God. They're like, that's crazy. I'm like, why, how is this affecting you? Why are you being affected by this? And they had said, well, my grandmother, the one I'd like to connect with, she was always gardening, and her yard always smelled of all these fragrant flowers. She didn't ever need any like room sprays or anything like that because she always had flowers. Whether they be potted plants or something all around the house. So it was always smelling like a garden. So that was her grandmother coming through and saying, hey. Now, say, for example, if I wasn't open to that, if I just dismissed the fact that I smell flowers and never told her, then guess what? Now, not only have I just disrespected her grandmother's spirit, wanting to come through, and of course, some of you may or may not believe in the afterlife. Now, again, let's go scientific for a second. Let's go Bill Nye for a second. If we learn in 4th or 5th grade science class that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and if you and I are made of bioelectric energy or energy, then wouldn't that mean that neither you and I can be created nor destroyed? A little food for thought. For all you science geeks, try to dismiss that. So now, so her energy was there. Now, if I didn't open up all my senses, then I wouldn't have been able to pass on that message. Now, let's go with Jorge. Jorge, average guy, all of a sudden got the call of the universe. Now, this is the same Jorge I was talking about before. This is his other brother, Jorge II. He's received the call, and he's starting to get weird inklings in his dreams. He's starting to smell odd things or see different things out of his periphery. Now, as much as in the DMV5, the psychological Bible of the world, there is pretty much a mental illness for pretty much everybody, including psychics. But they like to label everything. Everyone likes to label it. You know what I mean? You're this, you're that, you're black, you're white, you're green, you're blue, you're tall, you're short, you're fat, you're thin, you got big ears, whatever. So part of this is about labeling. But when you come up with your intuition and your psychic ability, don't try to label it. Be open to it. Kind of like when you first start out with going on a roller coaster, you don't know what to expect. You might get sick, you might get dizzy, or you might just have a great flipping time, right? So expectations, don't have any expectations. Let the expectations go and look at it from a personal adventure or a journey. That's one of the big aspects to it. And also, even if you're a seasoned intuitive, gifts come. They change. Gifts will change all of a sudden. So if you've never been someone that was clairaudient, which is hearing things, all of a sudden you may start. It is very, very possible. Something to think about. And Michael is saying never go on a full stomach. So yes, that would be a very good moon site. Never go on a roller coaster with a full stomach. And if you're motion sick, for the sake of your roller coaster buddies, don't go on unless you have a Dramamine. Motion sickness and roller coasters, not really good to do. They don't mix very well, for sure. But this is part of it, is being open. having your senses open, but not in a rigid kind of way. Kind of like when you're meditating, they a lot of the advice on meditating is you're focusing with a soft attention span, not a hard attention span where you're clenching, more like a soft one. So it's in the same aspect of your intuition. Open up your senses to receive information. Now, I know quite a few people that are very, very devout, and they believe they speak with God. And I believe that that's the case too, because I also have conversations with God myself. However, it's all really about being open to those, to those conversations, open to that stimulus, open to those messages. That's very, very important. Now Ariel is saying, I guess there's no roller coasters in the future for me. I feel queasy on airplanes. I can only imagine roller coasters are worse. Well, maybe the kiddie coasters. We can put you on a kiddie coaster. So that would work. Put a little Lely on the coaster. So kid-friendly coasters are not going to be too bad. Nothing with the word death or devil or Diablo or the spinning, whirling dervish. Something more like the teeter-totter. That would probably be better that would be better for you. Or the teacup roller coaster. Yeah, that'd probably be better for you. A little lighter. And no, I'm not belittling anybody. Just make it light. If you can't handle a heavy duty, make it light. Now also too, when you're working with intuition and your psychic ability, keep it lighthearted. Don't be too rigid upon yourself or judgmental on yourself. You may not receive average Joe to the psychic to the stars tomorrow. It's not going to happen like that. It usually doesn't happen that way, actually. Because even in my own development, it was a process. It was ongoing. Because I had to become aware of what my abilities. I had to become aware of what my strengths were. Even though I had dreams and visions of what I'm doing right now. I had dreams and visions way back when I was a little kid. In fact, I even scared myself with my own image. I thought I was the boogeyman. So I can say I was my own boogeyman. True story. But this is all how intuition starts. So you're going to be able to open your abilities and open your senses to receive. You can use affirmations to open to receive too. There are times, and this is just a little interesting fun fact, you can actually go into a book, any book, ask a question, open the book and look at a word. The first word that you come to is a key word. Think or meditate on that word, and there's going to be an answer for you. That's a little practice on intuition. You could do it that way. Any book, newspaper, anything with wording on it. Something that I do quite often as well is I make CDs. I make CDs with all the music I'm interested in. It could be anything from new age and didgeridoo all the way to hardcore death metal and industrial dance. So it could be everything and anything on one disc. Now this one happens to be a casualty because it didn't write properly. So now this is my coffee coaster. So talk about recycling. But the interesting thing is I can go ahead and throw in a disc. As I'm driving, all of a sudden, a certain song comes on. That particular song is reminding me, or it's got a message. So that's how profound intuitive ability and psychic ability is. It can really happen from almost anywhere. I remember going back many moons ago where someone had received a message, and it was during a discussion. Well, actually, it was an argument. And in that argument, they gave me a little piece of knowledge that I still remember to this day. And that knowledge was applicable because it was a message. It was a message specifically for me. Now, they said it out of anger. They said it out of sarcasm. But believe it or not, it was actually a message from the universe. Crazy as that is. You know? And this is the part of it. This is really the big part of how this all works. Is ultimately you don't have to be a witch or a pagan or anything like that. There are people that do faith healing. Okay? They're God's messengers. Now, I'm a firm believer that we are all the Creator's messenger. We are all the messenger of the Great Spirit. So if you provide anything towards goodwill or you help someone out, you are a servant or a messenger or a guide for higher, for the universe, for God, for however you want, whatever your belief system is. There is no label here. If you really, really think about it, there really is no label on what this is. So people can call it intuition. They can call it psychic ability. Mothers have called it mother's intuition. A hunch, a gut reaction. There's something in my gut that tells me. No matter how you slice it, this is all messages and situations and things, information and wisdom coming to you from elsewhere. Now, interesting, I'm going to throw a little curveball on this. Your own higher self can give you knowledge as well. Because since we are multifaceted, because time is not linear, there are multifaceted parts of you as well. So it could be your higher self actually giving you information as well. How do you know the difference? Well, now that's going into intermediate and more advanced knowledge, which maybe I will go into that later on in another broadcast. But I try to keep it pretty open for everyone to get something out of the broadcast and of the show itself. So, in looking at it from that perspective, and I've held a lot of workshops and classes on how to increase your intuitive ability, how to build on your intuition, how to focus and become centered and more grounded, and how to learn or increase or strengthen. Kind of like working on your spiritual fitness, if you will, for you to become stronger, therefore a larger vessel, a clearer vessel. So ego, and that's another interesting thing too, ego has no part of this. So a lot of times you may go to a reader or go to a psychic and some, like anyone else, like a doctor, lawyer, policeman, whoever, doesn't matter, across the board, ego can cause a disconnect or cause misinformation. So keep your ego checked at the door, because the more open and the less critical about what information you get, the more information you're going to get. The more accurate information you're going to get. So it's almost like getting it from the source. What would you rather do? Would you rather go to the store and buy orange juice, or would you rather squeeze fresh orange juice? Now, granted, one is more organic and you know what's in it, you know it's fresh, and you know that. It could be a little more, troublesome, a little more laborious, right? But that's just the difference of what I mean. You could make your own sandwich, or you can order out. You can, have a sandwich made for you. But it's all really about knowing where it comes from. And being a clear channel without ego, without hindrance, without obstacle. Because those obstacles is what gives you that added frustration on how to connect with your intuition. Perfect example. Just about every single job interview or meeting any new people, I've known something. I was told something. My guides and life protectors and totems told me something. Now, if I wasn't open, if I didn't have my ears open to it, then I could have probably been in 18 million toxic relationships. I probably would have, stayed at a job that was toxic for me, or overstayed my welcome in a particular place. So this is part of why intuition and instinct is so important. It worked well way back when we were cave people and tribal people and more simple people, before the internet, before these technological advances, when we were just working with hand tools. We were forced to work with instinct and intuition. And even then, something, either a change in the air, observing other animals, i.e., look at, say, totem animals, you see, or you observe animals in their natural environment, all of a sudden they're on alert. This is the natural balance of things. So anytime anyone says, oh, psychic ability is, is negative, or it's this and that, it's really no different than ultimately your intention. If your intention is to use it for harm, then 9 out of 10, it is not a very good thing. But if you do it with an open heart and with good intention, then how could it be something that is negative? Right? You take the ego out. So from its purest sense, what is that message? No different than I can take a knife and, cut bread with it, or take it and do some kind of violent act and hurt somebody. It's really all about intention. So your intuition and your psychic ability is truly a gift. It's only a curse if you want it to be, or if you choose it to be, or if you don't allow it to come to its full fruition. Now, you can shut it off if you really truly want to. I'm not going to be the type of person to say, shut it off. There's only once that I've ever not listened to my intuition and I got a speeding ticket out of it. And I've used this, I've said this story before in previous broadcasts, but I'll share it because it's applicable here. I was driving home on the highway towards home, and it was very late. As I was driving home, I saw a flash of blue in the corner of my eye. Now, doing a quick look over, I'm like, no, I'm the only person on the road. There's no one else around. I continued to speed. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, woo! I get the blue lights behind me, the whole 9. And I got stopped. But the thing was, I was pre-warned ahead of time, where if I slowed down at that second, I probably would have not gotten a speeding ticket. Another example about being open to intuition. And this is where this is profound. This changed my life in a big way. If I didn't respect or understand or was grateful for having life protectors and guides and teachers, this definitely cinched it for me. I was going down the road again. I was working many different jobs at the time, and I was exhausted. And instead of stopping or staying at work at the time and resting my eyes, I wanted to get home. As I'm driving home, 2-second nod. You think you only nodded, you closed your eyes for a second, but it was actually 5. That was happening with me. So now at that point, as I'm driving, all of a sudden I feel this. I feel the steering wheel turn abruptly. And then I open my eyes, and I'm in the center, that grassy center spot in between both sides of the highway? I was there. Now I'm shooken up. Of course, now I have adrenaline blowing through me. So I'm like, wow, hyper vigilant at this point. I probably have so many endorphins running through my bloodstream at this point where I was hyper vigilant. So now I'm thinking, oh shit, I better back up. I better do this. As I'm backing up, I saw where my car had turned. It missed a Jersey barrier by this much. I'm not even exaggerating. I literally missed that Jersey barrier that comes up from the ground. So it's wedged into the ground and it comes up like this, and it turns into the Jersey barrier. I missed it by this much. That was proof positive to me that someone was watching out for me. Because I can honestly say that I wouldn't be here sitting with any of you at the speed that I was going. There was no way I could dismiss it. Right? So again, this is why I'm saying the importance of intuition and psychic ability and being open to messages. Because this could be in some ways, at any given moment, this could be a life or death situation. No different than if you've heard of stories of animals being close to someone, and for some reason they don't let them go, and they find out that the person passed. It's because the animals themselves and children tend to be more pure, less ego-driven, and more naturally psychic. It's as you get older and you mature, you start to turn that stuff off. You start to disbelieve. You're not as pure anymore. You alter yourself. You're no longer close to or believe in the things that you did when you were younger. That could be culture-based. That could be the fact that your family was like, oh, no, that's just imaginary friend. You don't need that. That's crazy talk or whatever. Now, interestingly enough, now I've been doing this a long time. I've been I call it a freak. I throw that label around and I fly my freak flag. And thank you very much, Ariel, for bringing that up. 3 days before 9/11, I had seen it happening, but it was symbolic. I saw 3/11 happen 3 days prior to. Also, too, that was symbolic in itself. I saw the number 2. I saw the color blood red, like a blood red color, and I saw an explosion. Now, I passed it off a bit when I really should have meditated on it, because if I meditated on it, I may have not been able to stop 9/11, because that would be ego. That'd be ego if I was talking about stopping 9/11. However, I may have been a little more in the know if I paid more attention. Also, too, you can look this up, in Rhode Island history. There was there's the fire, the station fire. The station used to be a nightclub, and I lost a few of my friends there. I would have also been either a casualty or a burn victim. I think it was 99 people passed away in that fire, in the station fire. You could look it up. It was many, many years ago. But something told me, don't go. Clear as a bell, don't go. I heard those words, don't go. And it was such a profound, it came out of nowhere. And when I heard that, it was that night that it happened. And I spoke to my friends that I was going to see, and we were all supposed to see Great White. And I told them, I said, I tried, because not all of them were believers, not all of them were earthy crunchy like myself. And thank you very much for putting in the link. You can check out the link in the chat. But 99 people had passed away in that fire. And it was because of, they said it was because of pyrotechnics, but I've been there many times over, and I saw pyrotechnics for many, many years, many different bands. So they try to blame the band, but it really wasn't the blame. It was poor insulation. The owners decided not to use fire-resistant insulation. They cut corners, and this is what happened. See, so there was 100 deaths. Thank you for the fact check. See, non-fatal injuries, 230. Now that place was already over capacity. Now I wasn't given a novel. I wasn't given a paragraph. I was getting ready to go. I heard clear as a bell. Don't go. Just like that. And it was a male voice as well. Not that it matters, because you can have spirit guides that are males or females, or more androgynous. It is possible. It could be elementals, that they could be fae folk. It could be so many different aspects. But see, now you're getting the facts here. So I'm going to share the facts with you. So there were 100 deaths. There are 230 non-fatal injuries, and there were 132 people that escaped uninjured. Now you look at 230 non-fatal injuries. We're talking about burns. We're talking about broken bones. We're talking about a lot of different things, because they bottlenecked the few exits that were there. And thank you very much, my trusty producer, Ariel. I have to give you a raise. She brings up the fact it was the 4th deadliest nightclub fire in U.S. history, and the 2nd deadliest in New England history. Let's think about this for a second. 4th in U.S. history, nightclub fire in history, and the 2nd deadliest in New England history. And also too surpassed by the 1942 Coconut Grove fire, which resulted in 492 deaths. So look at that. Now, what's so special? What's so special about one person getting warned? Why me? Why was I spared? Because I listened. And I probably had more of a purpose. I needed to be here. I needed to be here talking with you today. There are so many, and again, in the words of Doctor Who, it's a timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly situation you wouldn't understand. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but the universe has a funny way of making things happen. You may have heard God works in mysterious ways. Well, no matter what your belief system is, the great mystery is called the great mystery for a reason. So there you go. So why was I told that information? Maybe because I could be the catalyst to save those half dozen people. Now, 3 or 4 of them were really good friends of mine, and a couple of them were acquaintances. And there isn't a day that close to the anniversary without even remembering the day. I will remember them fondly. And they were all, again, all of us have flaws. Not all of us are perfect, but they were really wonderful souls, and they had a lot more life in them before this tragic accident. But a big part of it is this, though. If it wasn't for me tuning in and being open to intuition, open to my instincts and paying attention to the message, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I could be partially or more burned. I could have been dead, and I could have been maybe one of the lucky few. Now, this happened February 20th, 2003, by the way. Thank you very much, Ariel. for putting up that info. But that happened in 2003. So you're looking at 14 years ago. So this is part of it. Your intuition and your abilities, they're there for a reason. From time immemorial, right? From the beginning of time, we had this gift. Because ultimately, we are the Creator's children. And I'm not going into this, into Bible humping or over accentuating spirituality or religion or anything like that. I'm making it pretty real time and pretty basic. We all come from a source, whatever source you want to believe in. And if that's the case, if we come from a higher source, then that means we have some of those inherent abilities to some degree. No different than you carry characteristics of your mom and your dad, or of your grandfather or grandmother, like genetics. So looking at it from that perspective, intuition and psychic ability is there for you to tap into. It just depends on how much you decide or how open you decide to be. If you're going to allow your upbringing or the dogma, the religious dogma or stigma of your culture or your family or anything else to get in the way or not. Now, again, not judging or criticizing anyone for choosing or not choosing to open their intuitive gifts. I'm simply here to let you know that these intuitive gifts, if used and cultivated properly and nurtured properly, they could be an asset. You will be able to know in a job interview whether it's going well or not. Any meeting that I went to or people that I met, I would know within 90 to 90% or 95% accuracy, I would know. Now, is that ego? No. That was purely just that gut feeling saying, I really got this. Where did that come from? Your guides, your inner counsel, your soul counsel, your however you want to call them. I call them a counsel because they're all part of my peers and my protectors and been around for a long time. So now Ariel is saying, sometimes seeing things and knowing things can be a burden, and sometimes it's a gift. It depends on the day and the experience, and it's true. At one point in time in my life, I did consider it a curse because it made me different. Right? and Ariel is saying, and other times it's just really annoying to have spirits that show up on your couch. It's true. True story. True story. And countless times, I've been in situations or meetings or gatherings or parties where all of a sudden there's an added extra guest that no one else can see. And then I've had conversations with them and saying, okay, why are you here? Don't you think it's better if you can let go of this physical realm and go on to your better place, wherever your better place is? So it does happen. So this is one of the big things. Now, when you're really, really, truly looking at that, many, many times, it is truly a message. It is truly a message or an omen or something that you need to pay attention to. Now, here's another little snippet, little story as well. And I've mentioned this in a couple of the broadcasts too, regarding around psychic ability and intuition and spirit guides. I remember doing a reading with someone. Now, at that moment in time, I kept on being told pickles, and I felt a physical poke. So it was like this. Pickles. Pickles. Tell her Pickles. Tell her Pickles. Pickles. Now, this is an older gentleman that was telling me this. And this was none of my people. Someone new. I'm like, Pickles. Yeah, right? Now, again, this was me poking and prodding and investigating and adding and filtering what was coming, right? What message was coming through. Well, finally, after a good 5 minutes of getting poked and prodded and being told, tell her Pickles, 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 I finally had said to the girl I was reading, I said, look, I'm really not sure why I'm being told this, but I keep on being told, tell her Pickles. She immediately started to bawl, crying her eyes out. And I'm like, great. And I remember vocalizing this in front of her. I went, great, now you made me make her cry. Right? So while she was weeping, she said, no. This is actually, I'm actually happy to hear that. And I'm like, what the hell's up with Pickles? Right? Because again, didn't make sense to me, but I wasn't being open enough for the message. Now, I'd already been relatively seasoned. It came out of nowhere, tell her Pickles. Right? So what happens? She had told me that one of her fondest memories with her grandfather was when she'd sit on the front porch and she would have pickles, sliced pickles with her grandfather. And this was a fond memory of hers. So this was her grandfather's way of coming through to say, tell her I'm still watching over her. And then it opened up to a whole different conversation between me, her grandfather, and her. So she finally realized that her grandfather was watching over her, because one of her biggest sadnesses, really, one of her most bitter things was she was going to graduate without her grandfather knowing about it, because he was always proud of her. And she wasn't going to get married without, her grandfather watching over her and all of that stuff, because he was a prominent part of her life. So go figure. Pickles over Pickles, people. Pickles. And I go ahead and allow my filtering mechanism to judge and criticize and go, Pickles, I don't know what the hell Pickles is. And I kind of just swept it away when Pickles was the main focus of that reading. Even though other information came through that was very, very needed, it was really all about the reconnection of her grandfather at that moment in time. That's another clarification, another telltale sign for me at the time to don't poke and prod it. It's information and it's meant for that person. So at this point, I no longer censor. So shortly after that, I stopped completely censoring anything. So if I smelled this particular something or heard a particular something or said a particular something, I would say, look, I'm not sure why I'm getting this, but this is what I'm getting. And 99.9% of the time, it is because that is meant for that person or someone close to them. And thank you very much for the reminder, for the friendly reminder. So now, I was just being told, that time check. And I appreciate that. That's why they get paid the big little bucks. I wish I can give them big bucks, but they get big little bucks. Sometimes spiritual big bucks, basically. But we're gonna round up and summarize the show in this broadcast. And the interesting thing, and this is not something that I wasn't really aware until early on with doing this broadcast, that people were really calling it a class. Sorry, I didn't make it to your class. I didn't make it to your broadcast. I didn't make it to the show. I didn't make it to your workshop. I didn't make it to your lesson this week. So it's interesting how that has evolved. But the thing is this. To summarize all of this is you are psychic. You are intuitive. Now, whether or not you're going to be able to get a big, huge message like the next world war or the next big lottery ticket, or something as little as your next biggest opportunity, or meeting your soulmate, or knowing for a fact what your unborn child, what gender they're going to be. All of that is intuition, and all of that is ability. There really isn't a label for it, and you technically don't really need to put a label on it. It's really about being open. It's about opening that sixth sense that's telling you something's up, that third eye opening up to see that in 2020, as opposed to your two eyes, your physical eyes that are on your face. But I'm hoping with this broadcast that it's opened your eyes and ears a little bit, made you realize that there's more out there than meets the eye. There's more than this physical existence that you may see. And knowing that is part of your education. Knowing that's part of your evolution, part of your life path. So I challenge you to open your eyes and senses to the intuitive world of spirit guides, life protectors, hidden knowledge. I challenge you to delve into what you think is the unknown. But once you get a grip, it's far more known and far more simple than you can imagine. Something to think about. So I would like to thank you all for being here and spending time with me here on Insight with Moonshadow, episode 78. And I appreciate all of you. I want to say thank you to all the people that check out the replays, all the people that support, repost, and post, and share, and they tell their friends. I really appreciate all of it. All the new subbies and subscribers to my YouTube channel, and all the people that come onto my website and mention and comment and give me credit and kudos. I appreciate it. I'm very grateful for that. And all of you matter. As a matter of fact, all of you and what all of you do and all your conversations and your questions are my inspiration. So if you feel guided to connect in any way or if your intuition tells you, hey, there's something about him that I need to connect with him, feel free to follow and subscribe to this YouTube channel. There should be a little down there below. You'll see the subscribe channel. There's also the little bell on that side that will give you notifications when I go live. And if you know of anyone that could be of service or of help with this knowledge, definitely do share with them and have them come on in every Monday or Moonday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Coming up also too, more remotes, new things, more developments here at Insight with Moonshadow. So thank you all for supporting and being there. It really means the world to me. And as always, be strong, be amazing, be you. Thank you very much. Take care. See you next week.